Hoodly doodly doo. Welcome to the potty doo. Reporting live from Summer's End in Tasmania, actually. So happy to be here. Today's little potty is going to be a mix of a few different topics that I've been pondering of late. But we're going to start with a topic that I'm quite fond of, which is sensitivity. I wanted to start off with a little story about sensitivity, like where this kind of stemmed from is in year 10 at the high school formal, I got voted most sensitive, and when I got up to get the award, everyone was just laughing at me, and I remember thinking to myself, like, why is everyone laughing? I feel like being sensitive is a good thing, but I kind of, since everyone was laughing at me, took it away, and yeah, I got to say, it didn't feel so good. But throughout the years, I've gone back to that little moment and I've pondered it and pondered why I think it's actually phenomenal to be a sensitive person and to be in tune with a lot more than a person who wouldn't be called and classed as sensitive. The truth is, sensitivity is both a beautiful thing and also something that I find at times quite hard to navigate, because with sensitivity comes empathy, comes a heightened level of intuition, and it comes with feeling a lot of other people's things as well. I do find that you just have to build up a little bit of a resilient shield, if you will. The reason the sensitivity topic came up for me is that, I've been living in Kingscliff for years. I've moved around, I've traveled quite a lot. I've lived over the world, not flexing, but I often have like a sudden need to get out, to need to see new things and to be in different environments that I feel like will stimulate growth and movement and just different ways of thinking. And I yearn for that. So sometimes I take myself on these little mini express trips, and then I find that so much comes up for me in the most important way. I wouldn't have it any other way, but I find that it's funny to go from that, like, I guess in a way it feels like stagnancy, where I know what I'm going to do every day. I know that it's going to be the same sort of routine with work, with structure, with all the things. And then I'm airdropped into a different kind of environment, which is like, I sound like such a little white girl. I'm in my beautiful Airbnb. But the thing is, you get into these environments and you're in a new city and you don't know a soul and you don't know what to do, where to go. It's funny, it stirs up a lot. And I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I feel like I've been noticing the same lesson rearing its little head, but in a different kind of costume. This little trip's been like a creative kind of writing trip, and I brought all my diaries from like the past 10 years and was just reading back through all of them, and yeah, really noticing how much the same patterns just come up. And every time I've just gotten better at navigating the thing. But this trip's just made me realize how important it is to not let like your surroundings and your environment impact your, how would I say, just your well-being. It's that thing, I've said it before, but men are safe till they're not, women aren't safe till they are. I was always just kind of like, you just as a woman have to cultivate that safety and don't like buy into the fear and all that jazz. But I think for the first time I felt like allowed myself to feel a little bit, I guess, unsafe. And it was kind of like a beautiful thing. All this to say is that I think when you have these realizations as a sensitive person, it's good to just like sit with yourself and just pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, we're all just readapting, and it ain't easy being a human, first of all, but it ain't easy being a human on your own in a new environment. So take it easy. Yeah, so I started out the trip in this really sweet little cottage and just kind of stayed off my phone mostly and just read books and did heaps of writing and just gallivanted around in the nude cooking food and just enjoying myself deeply and just feeling like such a deep kind of zen. And then when I got here, I was just like, here it's just beautiful in this little sanctuary. But when I went outside and it was like hustle and bustle, the Tasmanian Hobartian cities aren't like, Melbourne and Sydney and all that jazz, but it is still a city. And I noticed myself just being like, whoa, like this is a lot. I guess it's all what you focus on. I've noticed so many healthy looking Tasmanians. Like everyone is so hot and healthy. But then there's also the other side of people that just look sad. And I mean, that comes with everywhere. But I began the exercise of really challenging myself to just come back to center wherever I was. Like, you know, just sitting presently and just being in the hustle and bustle. Yeah, it's the same lesson, and I think you guys all know it. I think I've spat it a million times. I don't think I'm a guru sensei, but yeah, I feel like the secret elixir of life is to be able to just come back to self, no matter the environment. This little self is just like such a little nurturing temple that you can kind of come back to in any environment. So I think that's cool. I don't think it's like a super revolutionary learning or teaching or bit of wisdom for everyone, but I just thought, I think there's a lot of y'all that are quite sensitive people, and if you can be reminded of that, then why not? I'm going to touch on why I think sensitivity is epic. So as a sensitive person, you have a deeper level of processing. So I think the information that comes through hits on a way harder level. You don't just like let shit skim. You analyze, you observe, and you really take it on. I think we take in more information as well. I think we observe a lot more. Again, process a lot more deeply too. I think we see a lot of things that other people don't see, and I think that's also a really beautiful thing. It also means like deeper compassion and empathy for other people's stories, and this is what I'm really practicing. But you know, when people around me are feeling sadness or they're feeling joy or they're in love, it's like I'm on the roller coaster with you. Something I'm working on is, I actually think this is pretty cool. I do it quite often now when I feel like people gravitate towards me to talk about their shit, often to unload. Often there's not really a, hey, do you have the space? I do this little thing, and it's a little bit Harry Potter-esque, but I build a bit of a shield, like a little thing in my mind that's like circling around me, and I feel as though it protects me from any energies that I don't want to bring on board. This also means that I have my own cracks, like we all do. I'm not crackless, but it just means that I have to work on that, work on not taking on people's shit, and yeah, not feel things so deeply. But no, I think it's a freaking beautiful thing. And yeah, I think when you see it, you can learn to harness it in a really beautiful way, and it doesn't have to be this big heavy thing. You can just be like, fucking oath, this is my little sweet superpower. And another cool thing about being hypersensitive is that, I mean, I Google this, and Google says that you experience pleasure more deeply. And let me tell you, I experience my pleasure very deeply. So big ups to Google, you're right. And yeah, I think everything is just deep, the whole experience. The sweet things aren't just sweet, they're glorious. Like, yeah, everything just becomes so much bigger than it would if you weren't really sensitive. I always think there's people who experience like baseline love, for example, and then there's people who like love big, and then there's people that like love fucking huge. But yeah, build that orb, because you don't want to be absorbing everyone's things. Another thing that I think that is good about being sensitive is that a lot of the time there's a correlation between sensitivity and creativity. Through that sensitivity, inspiration is born. Another tick is bigger connection to self, more in tune with what one might need and what others might need as well, which is precious. The internal world can often be a lot. It's a lot to deal with. You know, you think about things and you process things, and it's not just a simple yes, no, let's go. But yeah, it can be a lot, but I think I would rather the depth than the shallows, and I'd rather deeper intuition and deeper connection to self. So you win or you lose, but I think you win in this case. I also think that when you've got that deep level of sensitivity and connection to self, it means that you notice what you need as it changes as well. Like this morning I was feeling a little bit sad. and whoa, it's coming back up again. Yeah, I was just like low, and I was speaking with a friend, and wow, I'm quivering. And she just goes to me, "What do you need?" And I was like, oh, bang. It felt like a little bit unclear, and I was just like, straight away, it was just a book and a massage. And then, yeah, it was just a funny thing. And then I got up, looked at myself in the mirror, and I didn't really like what I saw. And then immediately, this is going to segue onto the next topic actually, but immediately I just noticed myself just go bang, I don't like what I see in the mirror. And then I was like, bang, actually no, I do like what I see in the mirror, and I really felt it. And then that's when like the softness and the beauty of all the work I've done for so long really felt like it was working. And yeah, from there I just changed the day and just changed everything. And the day was gratitude and creativity and presence, and a big theme is just being. And I just felt really, really proud of being able to be like, this is what I need. And it's bigger than a book and a massage, you know. I left this door, I went and I was just like, I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna do an intuitive day. I'm gonna give myself exactly what I need. And I didn't even get out. I didn't get out past the sun, because I sat down for an hour just writing in my journal and just feeling the sun on my face. It's another beautiful thing about being sensitive, is that you know what you need, so you take it. And then you rejoice in the fact that you knew what you needed and you took it. I also want to say that it's really important to not be like, I am sensitive, and like build this big story around the word sensitive and like attach to it and be like, you can't talk to me like that, I'm sensitive. What I'm saying is that, you know, take that sensitivity, put it in your back pocket and be like, this, I don't like saying this, but this is a superpower. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Not that you guys shun yourself for being sensitive, but I think in the past I have been a little bit like, why can't you adapt easier? Why can't you just feel safe? Why does the environment bug you? Why do you need to be in the trees to feel calm? But the truth is, with this big download that I've been having over the past couple of days, it is easier to go out into nature and to feel grounded. It is harder to feel connected to self when there is a lot of stimulation around and new environments and all that jazz. But that's when the work comes into play. That's when it's harder to practice, and that's when it's even more fruity. Maybe if you're not that sensitive and you want to be more sensitive, you can be too. But I do think that being not so sensitive is also a superpower, because you just let shit just fly straight over your head. But yes, my final thing about being sensitive, it's not directly correlated to being sensitive, but it's because you are more sensitive, you are more in touch with what is going on around you. You can smell the roses. That is all I'm going to say about sensitivity. Make peace with the trait. It is beautiful. Only magic comes from said trait. Segueing from sensitivity into reflecting on how far you've come. So I was telling you all about that little moment I had this morning in the mirror where I was like, yo, a piece of shit, and how quickly I turned that to, fuck, you're a bit of a cute queen. It's a beautiful thing reflecting on how far you've come as often as humanly possible, because we move through life so quickly without pausing to just be like, you're doing good. You've broken those patterns completely. You don't sabotage like that anymore. But yeah, it's cool to notice. I think putting yourself into these new environments and just seeing what comes up when you don't necessarily have control over how things are going to pan out, how the day is going to go, how you're going to feel. I think a lot of the time I tell myself, like, let's go on this trip, you're going to feel so good, you know, all this new, all this exciting, you're not in your same day-to-day. And I love my day-to-day, I love my routine, but sometimes it just becomes all too much and I have to do this. But yeah, it's really cool noticing what does come up and just balancing the beauty and the magic and feeling elated and the ecstasy and all that with those potent moments of pain and just like feeling uncomfortable and, you know, feeling quite alone as well. But I just, yeah, I've really loved just reflecting on like the past little mini trips I've done solo, and then just seeing where I'm at now and how I handle those moments. Because, you know, I used to just be solo, be sad, just eat. Now it's like, be solo, be sad, and be like, hey, why is it that you're sad? What is it? Is there a little something? Oh, you can't work it out. Oh, just breathe and chill and like feel the sun and like, oh, are you feeling like having a cry? Have a cry. Like, sensitivity is good, more in tune. But yeah, I don't want to make it out like these trips are always sunshine and daisies. Like, again, sound like a rich little white girl in my Airbnbs, but yeah, it ain't always sunshine and roses. I wanted to do another topic in this bath, which is about living in your power and not dulling yourself down to make others feel comfortable. I feel like at times I've just dulled down my joy or expressing my joy to others because maybe it's too much for some. But I had a funny realization the other day. I was working at that workshop that I'm always talking about, the trauma release workshop, and they got everyone to go around in circles and say like, what percentage are you feeling? And people went around and like everyone was just like 40, 60, 70, 80. And when it came to me, I'd been kind of preparing for this workshop because I'd worked one a few months before and I knew how taxing it would be emotionally, energetically, and physically, because, you know, on your feet all day shooting, and they're like friggin' like 15-hour days or whatever. But I'd prepped and it came to me and I was like 100%, like feeling so good, feeling energized. I even had my period and I was just like, I feel great. And she was like, Kat, what percentage are you? And I was like, 80. And then it went to the next person and I was just like, why did I dull that down to make other people feel comfortable about my level of just like feeling ready or whatever? And then my friend was at the workshop too, and I just said to her like, what is that? Why did I do that? And she was just like, you know, it's your sparkle and your shine. I think sometimes we think that we need to dull ourselves down to make the rest of the population feel comfortable, but I don't know why. I don't think that's necessary, and I know that that's not something I'm going to bring into the next phase. But yeah, if you notice yourself as well dulling down your joy in general when things are flowing, like you don't want to flex, it's that tall poppy thing, like I challenge you to challenge that. But then I was talking to Ree's partner a few days down the track when I was at acupuncture, and he sent me this quote that I thought was really, really precious. It's a Nelson Mandela quote, and it is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I just thought that was fucking phenomenal. Like, is that not the biggest truth ever? So yeah, I think with that little lesson and reminder that I got, it's just, you know, I think often I was reflecting on this morning. I think sometimes I feel pretty comfy in expressing my sadness and my sorrows, but when things are popping and life's epic and I'm getting these big jobs, I just feel like, oh fuck, I'm flexing. I don't want to fucking have too big dick energy, you know? So I have dulled down my shine. But after reading this little quote-a-rooney, I just thought to myself, the more I shine, if I feel like shining, the more we all can shine, the more we can all shine together. So yeah, I thought that was pretty precious. But yeah, time to go to the next room. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the power of music and its healing properties, because I think surely if you're listening to this or watching this, you would be obsessed with music, because who isn't? You would have noticed the healing power of music. I really do hope that you would have noticed the power of music, because it's got such an effect. I think it affects your moods, your experiences. It's pretty clear to say that music can enhance pretty much everything. Think about music when you're getting married, when you're at a funeral, when you're having sex, when you're falling in love. Music can just accompany an experience and make it 50 times better. A good example, a painful example actually, is you're starting to see someone, they recommend a song, and then you're playing that song. You think it's the best fucking song you've ever heard. You're playing it on repeat and you're just like falling more and more in love with this person and the song at the same time. And then you go your own separate ways, and then the thought of hearing that song or it coming on or whatever, it's just heartbreaking. It just goes to show how much an effect and how big the link is between music and feeling and all that jazz. But it's the same with shagging with like an epic playlist. I feel like it can take you to high highs. Tripping with music as well, I just feel like it can take you on a journey in itself. For example, like when you're having ayahuasca, they pair up the music so that the heavy times, it's like, it's just music that's just gonna bang shit out of you. It's a frequency that's just like strong. And then it's soft and slow and peaceful in other moments. When it eases up, it's time for just more peace. And it's the same with like wanting to heighten your mood. You know, if you're already pumped up and you listen to pump up music, it's just like the pump up is going to be through the roof. Again, sexy music, sexual energy, extra creativity. I haven't done one podcast where I haven't done some sexy dancing before the podcast, because again, it gets the creativity flowing. It's more just like a getting into the mode sort of release and just feeling into myself. But again, mellow music mellows you out. You get the gist. Like, a cute example, wholesome example. This boy posted, Dan, if you're listening, posted this really beautiful song, and I could not stop listening to the thing. I listened to it while stretching, while going to yoga, like while meditating. I just think that music is just such a beautiful, beautiful gift. And if you've got great taste, I love you. If you have average taste, do better. But I just really appreciate people with good music taste, because then in turn I get to enjoy. Then it gets shared around and it's just a wave of magic. This all takes me to the studies of this really cool guy called Dr. Remoto. He was a pioneer in the studies of water and the effect music has on water. And as you know, we are made up of around 60 to 80% water or something of that nature. So I think that's pretty cool. His work demonstrated that water is shaped by environment, thoughts, and emotions. So simply put, and I just think this is crazy, he's revolutionized the idea that our thoughts and intentions impact the physical realm, as we know. I'm going to read from this book because otherwise I'll fuck it up completely. So he studied the scientific evidence of how the molecular structure in water transforms when it is exposed to human words, thoughts, sounds, and intentions. So put simply, the molecular structure in water can intensify or mellow out by the way we treat it. If you're, this sounds so trippy, but if you sing to your water and bless it with love, it literally changes the molecular structure of it. If you scream at it, again, the same. I'll get more into these studies as well, but studies for dummies. So basically what this guy did is that he took photos of water after basically he played Mozart to it, and he'd take photos of these crystalline structures, and then he would take photos after playing Screamo, and the images, I don't have any, or maybe I'll put some on the screen, maybe I won't. And basically the structures when he's playing Mozart are just so beautiful, and then when they're not, it's like literally just looks like mold. So it just goes to show, since we're so built up of water, what we're saying to ourselves, what we're speaking of ourselves, what our little mantras and things are towards ourselves, I think it has a way bigger impact than we actually think. I'm not saying I'm anti-screamo or whatever, but I do notice that it feels dark. It feels like quite painful to listen to. For me, it's, I've had a few little screamo phases, but mostly when I'm trying to let out anger, I'll get in the car and just put that shit on and just rage. But yeah, it's not really for me. Also, this is another cool one. His research also showed how polluted and toxic water, when exposed to prayer and intention, can be completely altered and restored to beautifully formed geometric crystals found in clean, healthy water. So you can literally, this is so woo-woo, but really it's not. It's actually quite scientific. You can restructure things with what you're saying, what your intentions are, what your energy is. I mean, that makes sense. We all have energy fields. You can feel people's energy. Even yesterday, it was such a beautiful moment. I was just walking down the street and I've been trying to look people in the eyes more, but as soon as it's someone attractive, it's just game over. Like I'm like, hey, and I've just been trying to be a little bit more just like hold that eye contact. And yesterday I was doing it and there was like these 4 guys wrapping up work and I just looked this guy in the eyes and we both smiled and it was just such a moment. Like I just felt the energy between him and I. It's so cringe, but you know, to me it was really special because I just thought, yeah, I just connected with that guy. There was a cute little sweet moment there and that doesn't happen all that often. Well, it doesn't really happen all that often with guys I'm interested in. So, yeehaw. I think these like water and music studies are such a brilliant finding because we're all so into music. And I mean, I like to think that if you're here, you're into feeling and you're into different kind of ideas. But I just think this stuff is potent and powerful. So just another beautiful reminder to be very intentional with the way you're treating yourself and what your inner monologue is, because the more you practice it, the more it becomes ingrained. The more you're like, hey, you're a sweet little honey, you're an angel, you deserve the world. Sorry, cringe, but that is actually how I speak to myself. And I've noticed that it has completely changed my life. Going from really loathing every ounce of myself to being my own biggest fangirl. It's pretty lit. I highly recommend, but back to the water. It just means that shit is limitless and that we can literally change the world with the way we speak to ourselves, because the more positively you speak to yourself, the more positive you are outwardly, the more your energy field is healthy, the more magic comes to you. Chain reaction. But yeah, another cool thing that we do at home is that we bless our water with love. So I think it's quite wholesome. Vanessa started doing it and then I started singing to the water, which you could argue that the crystalline structures in the water are now going to be absolutely disgusting to look at. But you know, Ram Dass once said everyone could sing, some people shouldn't. I still sing to that water. I still sing to it. And yeah, also think about how mamas sing to their babies to soothe them. I just think that's another little correlation. Okay, another topic that I wanted to talk about is magic. This is probably going to deter a lot of you, but I think this stuff is so powerful and so potent and so real in my life. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm having all these like inner child kind of moments at the moment. I think this is like the first year that I've delved into inner child stuff and just like going back and being triggered and then a fucking old memory just coming up and me being like, oh, that is why I operate like that. That is why I host that way of thinking. That is why I do that. That is a protection mechanism. And I had this beautiful moment a couple of weeks ago where I remembered myself. I was in Sydney and we'd gone to the Easter show. And I remember being in this little shop and I bought this little fairy dust, and I remember just wishing on this fairy dust and being like, please, angels. I can't remember what I was wishing for, but I remember just being like, please, I want this thing. I really want it. And I remember believing it down to my core that it was going to happen. And I'm not sure if it did happen, but it's funny now at 28 years old, I'm still doing that. I'm still, you know, manifesting and getting clear and intentional with what I want. And leaving the rest up to the universe. And I guess as the days go on, trusting more and more that things are happening as they need to. But it's a funny thing. I've been trying out this new cool modality, we'll call it, where I just ask for help. I ask the universe for help when moments are tough, when moments are tricky. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I feel is magic in this day and age, and what I've been doing and implementing for extra help that is a little bit outside of me. This was a really powerful quote that I took in this morning that I don't know if you guys are like me, but sometimes I can just hear, or I can be in conversation with someone and they'll raise a point with a different angle and I'll just be like, oh, that hit, and it'll change my life forever. Like, put simply, it'll just completely shift my path and how I think about something. And I just find that to be such a beautiful thing, to be, what is the word? To be influenced like that by other people's interpretations, other people's art, other people's ways of thinking and doing. But I thought this one was really cool. It's the Red Hand Files, which is Nick Cave. True growth comes when we accept the mantle of that which we feel is beyond us. So I thought that was really cool, and another lesson in surrender. It is, sometimes I think, speaking for myself here, but probably maybe you'll feel this too, I think we get so caught up in just trying to fix what's going on and just trying to like come to a conclusion and, you know, go back into childhood and be like, hey, that's why I react like that now. And, you know, why am I not healing quicker? Why am I not over this person? Or, you know, we're going through the resentment and all that shit. And it's just like, sometimes it's nice to just be like, all this stuff I'm feeling, yeah, it's for a reason, but it's also sometimes it's nice to just be like, it's a little bit beyond me, you know? And that's where I'm really enjoying that new process of just leaving it up to the universe and praying, like going full blown prayer style on it. I literally ask the angels for help now. Like, I'm not ashamed to say that it is a practice for me when I'm feeling a little bit like I need a bit of support. And to be honest, it's been working. Yeah, something I've really been striving for is consistency lately. Just being a little bit more just like this, not too high, not too low, just like content. And I asked for help with that. And I don't know, it could be a placebo, but obviously it's my strength and my decision and my will. But I do think that I've been supported, and I just, you know, give it a try. Next time you're struggling with something, just sit there and close your eyes and just be like, hey, I'd really appreciate a little bit of help, because I promise you it works. I'm not afraid to say that I just really, truly think that magic is a thing, and I recommend getting into that woo-woo stuff because it has helped me tenfold when I don't really want to speak to other people about what I'm going through. You know, I think sometimes as women we go around in circles and around and round and round and just getting over going around in circles. So sometimes I just don't really want to even speak about it. So literally sometimes I say it out loud as well. I'm just like, hello angels, you big queens. I would love a little bit of help or guidance, a bit of clarity surrounding this certain matter, or letting go of this person. I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't want that to impact me so heavily. I'd like to be more consistent. And then also in the realms of, you know, manifesting work and jobs and money and cool experiences and all that jazz. But yes, that is the woo-woo business. Yes, so on the topic of magique, I thought I'd tell you guys a couple of stories that I found to be quite magic. And this has been since I've been shifting up my way of thinking and my surrender, if you will. But so when I came to Tassie, my full intention was just to slow down and be, and to create. I just wanted to write a lot, and I guess I was quite intentional about this trip. I'm pretty woo-woo, but I booked it a few months ago on the 11th of the 11th. It's a big portal, and I booked it when I knew I'd have my period, so I'd be more sensitive and more in tune. And because I'm writing a book, I was writing a little bit about like my childhood, and I knew that it was going to be a really potent and maybe sensitive time for me, and I just wanted to just fully immerse myself in that. Anyway, so so I get to the airport, I sit down, I'm reading for half an hour, I look up, and a girl that I really like is coming over to me, and I'm like, holy shit, it's Hannah, a really good friend of mine that I haven't seen in a little while, that I'd been meaning to catch up with. And even the week before, we've been like, fuck, she's just recently fallen in love. And I was like, I want to feel that love secondhand, baby. Like, I want to hear these stories. So it was just perfect. Like, she just walked up to me like the biggest vision, just dressed in blue, just looking like such a queen, blue everything. And we sit down and just have a chat. And then it's just like the most beautiful conversation. We are just like thriving in each other's company, in my opinion. And I love love, so I'm just listening to her, and I'm just fucking secondhand just feeling that love just pulsating through me. And then we get up and she's like, where are you sitting? And I'm like, 8D. And she's like, you're not going to believe it, I'm sitting right next to you. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then, you know, got to just like share the Uber, dropped her off into the city and went out to my little cottage. And then the next day I open a new book that I've just bought, and chapter 1, the chapter's name is June, and that's the guy's name that she's seeing. I don't know, I just thought that was like synchronicity after synchronicity. These little moments of magic are just what make my life that much zestier. So another story is Mumsy and I were just leaving the markets, and I was plugging in my phone to put the Bluetooth on, and I was telling a story at the same time, and Mum was like, what did you say? And I just said connected, and at the same time that I said connected, the Bluetooth device just goes connected successfully. And I don't know, it's just like when you're thinking about a song and it plays, like I just think those moments cannot be unseen, and they're the moments that give me the most amount of life. I just love things in common and little synchronicities like that. Another cute story happened today, actually, and I was just like gallivanting around. It's just like one of my favorite things to do, is to just not really have an agenda and to just flow with whatever comes my way when I'm in a place where I don't really know where I am. And I was just gallivanting around Hobart, and I went into this little health food shop and I was like, I want some snacks for the plane to Moz. And then I heard the guy that was working there, I heard his voice, and I was like, oh, I reckon this guy's gonna be sexy. I'm curious about this dude. And then I walk down and he's just beautiful, like stunning. And then we just have a little conversation, and he's just wholesome and just cute and humble and all the things you want, like they're pure. And then, yeah, we got chatting and he was just giving me a few little tips on what to do, and he was like, you should go to the mountain. And I was like, I'm going there tomorrow, and I am actually going there tomorrow. And then he just goes, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, I got no plans, just chilling. And he was like, I hold dance classes, you should come to the dance class. And I was like, so after this, I'm gonna do some salsa. But yeah, I just thought that was another cute little moment of magic, and I think it's nice to notice the magic around you. I realize that a lot of these podcasts have been all about me and my experiences and my stories and me just talking, but the next couple I'm getting some good crew on, and I'm keen to get quizzing on them and to ask them a little bit about how they fare in the world, and to not just always have it about me. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys being here, and if you listened this far, I'm truly genuinely surprised. But yeah, I hope you're feeling good, and yeah, rounding out the end of the year, be kind to yourself. Shit starts to move quite fast at this time of the year. And I do find that the Christmas period can also bring up a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of the next phase of life. But anyway, love, big kiss.